Cool. Well, I'm here today to talk about something that I'm really passionate about, which is building a great company culture and one that includes and focuses on diversity as a core pillar as a way to be more successful in business, which I really believe that if you're building a company and you want to succeed over the next decade, you really have to be aware of things like culture and diversity for a number of different reasons. One is that I'm sure a lot of you are aware that folks, especially in the startup world, are really feeling the squeeze to find and bring on great talent to their companies. And so, one thing that people need to focus on and work on in order to attract great people and differentiate is building a great culture that's a great place to work. And another piece is, the world is getting more diverse. Companies are becoming more distributed and including lots more people from different backgrounds. And so having to sort of focus on and figure out how to create an organization that can work with people from many different backgrounds is only becoming more important. So just a couple quick other things about myself so you can get an idea as to kind of what my experience has been and sort of what the context is of the lessons that I've learned. So I started Nylas in 2013, and so I've been doing this for about 8 years. No startup has like a sort of straight up and to the right path of one milestone in achievement after another. They're always like a little bit winding. And for us, the first 4 years, the team was pretty small. We probably didn't get bigger than 15 or 20 people, and we were really looking for product market fit at that time. Then the last 4 years, basically since about 2017 to today, we've really been in this kind of growth and scaling mode. And so but in that time, the company has grown from 20 to over 200 people. And about half of that is sort of in the engineering, product, and design part of the organization, which is my particular focus. But obviously as a founder, I think about the whole company. We've raised quite a bit of venture funding, and the team is also remote first these days, and we're fairly distributed. We have some concentrations. We have an office in San Francisco, Denver, Toronto, and London, and we're trying to open a space in New York as well. So we have some sort of office spaces, but we also have people on the team that are full-time remote, and that's something we really leaned into since the pandemic. So we've worked with a lot of companies. We're really kind of going up market, getting bigger logos on board, and the company's experienced a lot of success. So one of the main premises I kind of want to get across here is that, it's a given at this point that software is going to be everywhere. It's right now it's in like your microwave and your computer and your car, but as the world continues to adapt, software is becoming a part of everything. And it's really important in that case for software to be built to serve all the people that are using it. And one of the easiest ways to do that and to kind of inculcate that into your company is to make your company made up of people from all different backgrounds. Another thing is that building a diverse company is something that makes your company more effective at business and more innovative. There have been quite a number of studies at this point that have shown that more diverse teams actually produce better business results in a number of different ways. This one that I'm highlighting here talks about innovation, but there's also other different aspects that have been studied, and just the numbers show that it's better for businesses over the long term to put in the effort to build diverse teams and to make that work. Let's talk a little bit about company culture. What is culture anyways? The way that I think about culture is it's really kind of the sum total of every action that everybody at your company does added up day to day. It's more than just a set of corporate sounding values words that's written in the handbook that people read once and then they forget about. But it's really about how people at your company think and act and sort of what are the things that drive them. And so one thing that I'm really passionate about as a founder is building a great culture. And here's some of the things that I think are really important. Overall, I really want to focus that it's important to be driven by impact and results. And this ties back to diversity as well, in that you really shouldn't judge people differently based off of their background. You should judge them based on what they produce. And if you really focus on that, that's something that's going to help your team feel empowered and feel like it's a fair and great environment to work in. It's also really important to have open communication to push down information, especially as your company gets bigger. One thing that we do at Nylas is that our leaders, they bring back information that we talked about as executives, they push it down to their teams, and they make sure that people who are kind of on the front lines making decisions have as much information as possible so that they can make good decisions, because we really believe that people that are kind of closest to kind of on the ground what's happening are the best people to be able to make those decisions, but they need to have the context about the big picture of what's happening at the company and in other departments in order to be able to do that. Another thing that's really important, especially for bringing on great talent to your company, is ownership. Not just sort of delegating sort of task level things to people, but instead giving them, a piece of something that is theirs, that they're in charge of, that they're responsible for. And when you do that, people really step up and they give you more. Psychological safety is something that I would say is becoming sort of more and more part of the lexicon of things that people are aware of. And that's really all about being able to take risks. In the startup world, it's, the whole point of startups is to try something that may or may not work, that you believe will bring value to the world. And it's just a part of that. There's going to be a lot of failure along the way. So you need to build an environment where people can iterate and fail sometimes on the way to that success. People are also really looking for personal growth and learning. I don't know any young person that I've ever met who's in the startup world who is not asking me, how can I learn and further my career at your company? Also really important to have a collaborative environment. There's that old saying, if you want to go far, go alone. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And we're trying to build great things at startups, and we need other people in order to be able to do that. And again, be outcome oriented. At the end of the day, it's all about what people accomplish. It's not about how much time they're spending at their seat. I think people really demand a flexibility these days, especially over the last 2 years. We've seen that, sort of the pendulum has swung. There's a lot of sort of power from employees for them to ask for what they want in terms of their lives. And that's not incompatible with building a great company that ships a lot. Diversity and inclusion, this is super important. It's all about empowering people from different backgrounds to be successful at your company. One of the things I want to highlight about diversity and inclusion is that when you're first really digging into trying to make this a focus at your company, you might find that bringing on people from different backgrounds actually produces more friction at first, because people from different backgrounds bring different assumptions, different perspectives. By their nature, they, if you have people from different backgrounds, they've had different life experiences. And so you need to invest more up front in setting sort of group context. Communication is super important. Being explicit about what are expectations and what sort of culture you're trying to build, and sort of, bringing people in so that they can be successful and not be left out because they don't understand the language that you're speaking. I mean, metaphorically, the language, and are kind of missing out on things that are being unsaid about what they should do to be successful. I really can't emphasize this enough, and that's, if you're building a company today in 2021, you are not going to be successful in the coming decade if you don't make diversity a core part of your business and how your team operates. That's because the world is becoming more interconnected. If you want to sell to a global audience, you need to be able to incorporate those perspectives into your product and build for that audience. And you got to start now, because it takes a while to kind of build that into your culture. To wrap things up, I wanted to emphasize a few kind of key takeaways. Again, I really believe that being driven by impact and results, and sort of the underlying fairness about that is really core. And you really can't stray away from that in your mission to incorporate diversity and inclusion and to build a great culture. Should really be a core part of how your team operates to to engage with, to sort of build empathy amongst the team for people from different backgrounds, to work on communication skills. One of the things we do at Nylas is that we actually bring in facilitators and run workshops on communication and how to connect and to talk to other people, because it's really important for building a great and effective team. And the last thing is that this is going to make your company more successful. You are going to build better products that solve problems for more people if you build a great culture, you build a team that can work well together, and you build a culture that can succeed with people from all different backgrounds as a part of that team. Thanks so much. If you want to chat, I'll be spending a little bit of time at our booth, which is just around the corner somewhere. Oh, it's right over there. It's E331, the Nylas booth over there. So come by, say hi, and